Let's go.
Okay, here we go. The purpose of the mastermind is to learn leadership, build teams, create multiple sources of income together.
We are here to inspire and challenge each other to reach and exceed goals.
Each member is committed to their own success as well as the success of every member of the group.
We are committed to meeting in person or virtually for 1 hour every week.
We are present. There is no multitasking or distractions during meetings.
We are collaborative. We listen without interrupting, lecturing, or judging.
We celebrate each other's successes without jealousy.
We are honest and participate by giving thoughtful feedback.
We are open and listen to different perspectives without being defensive or offering excuses.
We trust fellow members enough to share fully.
We are focused, but we also think it's important to have fun during the meetings.
We are real and authentic. This is a no BS zone.
We allow ourselves to become completely aligned with each other and the high forces, one mind, one soul, and one love.
Noble Goldman International is a conscious, aware, and engaged global community of abundance and freedom creators.
Our mission is to create 1 million millionaires who are free from the time for money paradigm. We focus on creating multiple streams of income through masterminding, team building, and the effective utilization of internet-based platforms.
The mastermind becomes an opportunity for self-mastery, where the self-transcendent shift from the me to the we to the us occurs. As congruence and engagement increases, the world's consciousness is then raised one meaningful and inspired relationship at a time. Beautiful.
That last one is so good.
Yes.
I'm so excited to be on the call tonight. I've just talked about God all day long with every single client. And it's been like this, like my energy levels are like that, because the conversations, all of them just centered back on that one thing. So we're going to have a great conversation tonight because we're going to be talking about something similar. So I did.
It's again.
We have 2 more clients after you guys.
Oh gosh.
It'll be a late night for me, but I'm all revved up.
Awesome. So after the success of last week, when we went through something that Gary touches on a lot, but we didn't really, we really dug deep into the levels of logical levels. And this time, it's something I struggle reading with Think and Grow Rich all the time. Is the chapter on the subconscious, because the understanding that I've got from Gary and other readings is a lot more in depth than what they'd go through in the chapter in there. So it's a great base if you don't know much about it, but there's so much more to it. And it's not just the subconscious, but then tying up what the other levels that we work from, the subconscious and the conscious brain and the heart and our higher self, and tying them all up together. And I said to Gary, I need help with this. So he just said the 3 levels, and it's like, oh, yeah, okay. So we have done that, but again, it's because we just graze over the surface and we don't get to delve into it. So this time I'll pull up shall I share the screen now, Gary?
Yeah, go for it.
I think, yeah, and you're right, the diagram makes such a difference.
It does.
Visual. Bit of visual help.
Now, do you by any chance have the list of the presuppositions of the conscious and subconscious mind in one of those manuals? Or is it in this one?
I don't think it was in this one. And can I check while I'm looking? Because now you see the wrong screen, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, yeah.
What are you seeing now?
Let me move.
Are you seeing my list, or are you seeing the
Oh yeah, no, I'm seeing your list and not that's the Huna model.
Oh, you can see the Huna model now? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I can have a look while you're talking about that.
Well, I'm kind of having a look right now, seeing if I can find it. That's the presuppositions. I know I've got it. It's just on what manual I have it in.
Yeah, it's definitely in the manuals that we have.
Okay, great. So
I'll have a look for
let's
it.
go ahead and expand that screen a little bit. Can we make it a little larger?
And I moved.
No.
Yeah, should be able to.
Your little slide bar towards the bottom right. There you
Yeah.
go.
There you go.
Is that? How's that?
Well, if you did it full screen, maybe it would work a little bit better.
You.
But I can speak from this. So this is fine.
Okay.
Okay. So let's just launch with this one. If you could look for the presuppositions of the conscious,
Yes.
subconscious, and high self, that would be great. Like I said, I just didn't have time to get into my manuals and find it. So I did a lot of training in Hawaii. And one of the great good fortunes I had was...
Sorry, no, I'm not going to be able to have a look because it'll open up on that straight away. So
yeah, no, it's fine. I'll remember as much as I can remember.
okay.
The trainings were based upon Huna, or the indigenous mystical teachings that the Hawaiian people had. And the Hawaiian people were very, very aligned and tuned into what they call the three selves. When you go to Hawaii, if anyone has ever been, could I just hear a shout out if people have been to Hawaii?
Yeah,
Okay.
Gary went with you and Robert.
Oh, of course, Lisa. Remember when we went to Huna, which is the city of Refuge on the big island of Hawaii? The city of Refuge is a place where if you got to the city of Refuge, you were forgiven for whatever sin or whatever mishap that had befallen you. Even if you would have killed the king's son, if you could get to Huna, you were forgiven. It's a very, very interesting place. I remember one night, myself and a friend snuck into Huna late at night, and we just laid on the beaches amongst all these ancient Hawaiian ruins. And literally, it was like the most active spirit place I have ever been. You could almost see spirits walking throughout the entire Huna enclave. It was very powerful to be there late at night when no humans were there, but there was a lot of spiritual activity. At Huna they have tikis, and the tikis are not, great indigenous art of the Hawaiian people, although that's part of what they are. But what they actually really are is they were consciousness teaching tools to teach the science of the three selves. So the different tikis, like the tiki that represents the Unilipili, will have a very, very short headdress, because they're showing that the Unilipili is not very imaginative. The Uhane tiki has a very, very high headdress, which is the conscious mind, which is this massive amount to imagine and create through the focus of the mind. The Unilipili, or the subconscious mind, is direct input that is programmed from the focus of the conscious mind. The Kane, which is the high self, was a completely cylindrical stone or piece of wood, which means that there was no image that could possibly contact or represent the power of the high self. It was beyond description. So there was nothing that they ever carved that would represent the Kane, or the high self, or the superconscious mind. So the process of them teaching this was saying that fundamentally, the Ohane, if you look at the graph, on the right side of the graph, you see that the Ohane, there's an arrow going to the Unilipili, or the subconscious mind. So the focus of the conscious mind impregnates the subconscious mind. Whatever the mind is focused on, that becomes the direction for the subconscious. That's why in that quote that I always quote from Buddha, when Buddha says that the thought manifests as the word manifests as the deed turns into habit, the habit hardens into character. So watch your words and your thoughts with care, and let it spring from concern for all beings. For as a shadow follows the body, as we think and as we speak, so we become. So the same holds true in the mystical practices of the Hawaiian people. The conscious mind will enslave the individual through the wrong focus. It will also free the individual through the right focus. So the Unili Pili then is a subconscious mind impregnated by the focus of the conscious mind. Notice that there on the left side, there is an arrow going from the Unili Pili to the Yuhane. The Yuhane is the conscious mind, which simply means that the Unili Pili will also influence the conscious mind. Now, these arrows are a little off, but let me explain it this way. The Unili Pili actually can communicate directly to the high self. So the subconscious mind has this link to the high self. The high self can communicate directly to the conscious mind through inspiration, through vision, through all of that. But the Unili Pili communicates directly to the high self. The high self can communicate to the conscious mind and therefore the subconscious. The high self directs the conscious mind through inspiration and spiritual experience. So the whole premise is that we've got three selves: the high self, the conscious mind, and the subconscious. If we really look at what makes our lives actually really flow and become more linked, I'm going to link this a bit to more Western thought. If we go to the, we've got the Buddhist thought, we've got the Hawaiian thought, and if we go to the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, and we look at the strata of human needs, the very last one that Abraham Maslow added at the end of his life was spirituality, which was how does my identity and my sense of self impact the larger whole. So the spirituality human need is to have an understanding of how your life belongs to a greater whole. And if you go to logical levels, which we covered the other night or last week, was that if you make a change at the highest logical level of spirituality, it changes everything below it. So culture after culture continues to go back to this one simple truth. The focus of the mind frees us or enslaves us. And if we take a shift or a focus at the spiritual level, it changes everything else below it. So it behooves each and every one of us to consider this one question: how much time do we spend developing a relationship with the divine, whatever that is for you? I just got off my last call with a woman who's been thought possessed by her boyfriend betraying her and leaving her and not wanting anything to do with her. And she can't wrap her head around it. And she literally just drinks and talks to her friends about the betrayal. Has been doing this for 2 months. And finally she reached out and said, I'm making myself insane. I'm incredibly unhappy and I don't know how to stop. we got to this one place in our session tonight, and I said, what would happen if you gave the thought energy that and the longing for and the grief around not being connected that you have had for your ex-boyfriend, and you turned that to God? What would happen if you pined for an experience of ecstatic spiritual love, and you longed for that part of you, that the particle that you are, this creative force, and you long for the connection and experience of that consciousness like you long for your boyfriend? What would your life be like if you just shifted the idol of your boyfriend and you replaced it with a relationship with the divine? What would happen to your life? And she sat there and she said, I would be at peace. And I was like, yeah, you'd be at peace. And where are you now? She says, I've been in hell. And I said, you're worshiping the wrong idol. Your focus is on the wrong idol. You have to turn your mind to something that's going to feed you, not take from you. And this kind of held true for just about everything when you really sit back and think about it. If we develop a life that goes to that higher level, because of course I get to be around the great good grace to be around Robert's mom, who's 92, who is fighting like everything to not demise from dementia and, you know, keep her health up, which she does an amazing job of. She's 92 and she still climbs these stairs up to the main level of the house. She does it on her own. I mean, who does that at 92, right? Most people at 92 are like in a wheelchair, not her. So she's this real feisty little thing. And not unlike Robert, I must say, but she's really quite something. And I was talking to Robert the other night and I said, you know, because she starts to lose her memory and her mental capabilities. And sometimes she has psychotic episodes of paranoia and all of that. But she's pretty good other than that. And I said, you know, this is us at 92, if we're lucky. This is the road that most of us will take. And I was like, yeah, that's the truth. And then I say to myself, how are you preparing for that road? That is the inevitable. How am I preparing on a daily basis for that inevitability? Because if we're going to do a trip, if we're going to travel someplace, we prepare for the trip. We just prepare for the trip. We pack, we look at our maps, we set a course, we prepare. But there is this inevitability that is going to happen to every single one of us. And how are we preparing? We're going to have to leap out of our bodies, the thing that we think we actually are, and have profound faith that on the other side of that leap, there is a force and a power and a relationship that's going to catch us and carry us forward. But if we've never bothered to create a relationship with that, how well are we going to do at the time of our death? Personally, I don't think I would do very well. So when we start looking at where do I want to take this worship, which is the focus of your minds, where do I want to take it? What do I want to dwell on? What kind of practice, daily practice, do I want to engage in that prepares me to open up my heart and open up my capability to create a relationship with something I cannot see and I cannot touch? One of my clients, that same client, actually said to me, I want an experience of God. And I said, how badly do you want it? And she said, badly. And then I went back to, then you have to set up a daily practice of longing like a lover for its beloved. And when we sit back and we go, I don't know what the heck that would mean. I don't even know how I would frame my idea of what God is for me. That's fair enough. Not many of us do. But the truth of it is, how are we going to find out unless we start a practice and start to develop that relationship. I feel like I want to tell you guys my squirrel story.
Yes.
Most of you have heard the squirrel story. But it goes right to that thing of like, do we want it bad enough? Now, the squirrel story is very interesting because it has lots of different things to it. But I wouldn't have gotten to that point to where I said, I want to die if I don't have a miracle from God. Like, I will gladly just give up my body and die because I can't live like this anymore. And I remember thinking, okay, well, how did I get to that point of longing? And it was from months of deep, profound suffering that I got to that point to where I said, I can't take it anymore. And I want to die unless I get a breakthrough. Now, and then I thought, okay, well then what is the place then, the fuel of the suffering? Where did it propel me to? Because the suffering is the fuel. How many of you have suffered and felt like, okay, I just can't take this much more? Anybody else other than me? Like, I cannot take it much more. And so when I went out on the mountain for the Vision Quest, it was literally, I told Marilyn Youngberg, my Native American teacher, I said, you have to promise me you will not come and get me unless I have my breakthrough. And you'll know when I have my breakthrough. So unless I have that breakthrough, do not come and get me. Promise me you'll let me die. And she said, I promise. I will leave you on the mountain. And I was like, okay, great. We're in agreement. And I went out onto the mountain. I'm not going to go through the whole squirrel story, but I will say that it was the suffering that got me to the longing to demand God show me what I need to be shown, to convince me that there was a power operating in my life and that was real and that was undeniable. And I was really mad at God when I went out on that Vision Quest. I want to quote myself, but it's really bad language. So I don't think I'll quote myself because we're recording, aren't we, Viv? So I won't quote myself. But I was calling God an MF. I was like very angry at God. And little things would happen. And I go, okay, that's not good enough. That's not even remotely good enough. You better bloody well deliver a miracle or I'm croaking. End of story. Deliver the miracle. So what I want to say is when we have a desire that's deep, that's profound, that is relentless and determined, you have an experience of God in your life. It has never not happened. What does happen, and I'm completely guilty of this, is being so externalized in what I think is important that I don't value that relationship. And therefore, all my focus is out here until I'm so exhausted, I don't have any more juice left. But if I really think about what matters, it's this relationship, because when this relationship's right, I'm fearless. I'm courageous. I'm determined. I'm unstoppable. When this relationship is not right, I'm frightened. I'm in scarcity. I'm not necessarily as nice as I could be. Everything I don't want to be, I become. But when this relationship's right, then everything's good. Now, I know that many of us have gone through things that are dark and difficult and challenging and painful and disappointing. But if this relationship is right, then everything else has perspective. But if we're trying to make the false idols of our relationships, our circumstances, the thing we focus on the most, then there is no possible way that we'll have peace. And yet many of us do not have a daily committed practice, and I call it bhakti yoga, of that bhakti yoga, which is the yoga of devotion, is the yoga of love. It's the yoga of the lover for the beloved. We don't have it. We haven't developed it yet. Our Western civilization is based upon, oh, something that I can't see out here is going to forgive me, and then I'm going to be going to heaven. It's like, I don't think so, buddy, because quite frankly, every action bears a like and equal reaction. You cannot be going out and doing things that are harmful to other people, that perpetuate pain, and expect that there's not going to be a ramification back that will come with equal and like measure. Karma is extremely exacting. So if our practice, whether it's Christianity or Islam or Judaism or Native American stuff or Hawaiian stuff or Hinduism, it doesn't matter. What it matters is the love and devotion we have for the Lord, whatever that is for you, and how we demonstrate that in our relationships. I remember the master in India would say to us, there's only one thing asked of you at the time of your death. And that is, how much love and devotion did you have for the Lord? And how did you demonstrate that in creation? That is the only thing that's asked of you. Not what religion you did, how many prayer beads you did, how long you sat in meditation, none of that. And I remember that, and I thought, that sounds about right. Now, I don't know if any of that's true. It's just a belief gathered from a lot of different experiences I've had. I would love to know from the group, what do you do, or what do you want to do to begin to start developing more of a bhakti yogic tradition for yourself? Maybe you don't want to practice any of that, which is fair enough. But if you did, what would you do differently than what you do now? So I'm going to open up the call and see if anyone would like to share. Don't make me call on people, because I will.
Carly, go for it.
Okay. Yeah, this is exactly what I was contemplating yesterday. So I'm glad this is our subject because I recognize that daily commitment is a connection to everything, like the bhakti, like you're saying, the devotion. So it doesn't really matter what you devote to. Well, it does matter what you devote to if you want a burning desire. Like there's no point, devoting to sitting on the couch every day. Well, there is if you need to have a rest, but there isn't if you have a burning desire and you're not putting any action in. So the devotion just helps us put action in. It gives us a commitment until we're able to fully commit to whatever our devotional desire is. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything we commit to is a small action step to help us get into momentum. Some of those uncover the connection you're talking about. Some of those devotions connect us to the outcome of what we desire in business. But at the end of the day, everything, right down to money, health, every relationship we've got connects us to the burning desire that we are either conscious to or not, which is connection to everything.
I would so agree with that, Kelly, from the perspective that we're all looking. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, we're looking to belong. We're looking to go home. We're looking for that infinite, unconditional love that we think we'll find in another person, and we'll get reflections of that, but we won't get that quality of love that feeds the soul.
Yeah, exactly. So in that, the burning desire to have that connection is an internal job. And even though it looks external, like you're saying, we get it from our children or we give it to our children, which is perfect. We also need to give it to ourselves. The only way to do that is devote 20 minutes a day to myself in some sort of meditation or a practice, even if it's just for a walk, even if it's making sure I drink 8 glasses of water today, or whatever that is for you personally, just to get the momentum going into self-love, self-acceptance, self-desire, because all of those practices bring you into the bigger desire eventually. It may look like it takes 20 years, but you will get there. I mean, we're all older people here. We've already spent many years trying to get there. But all we need to go in, really ask what you want, really tap into the burning desire in your heart, you know, like let your mind then revisit that and expand on that, but bring it back into the heart when you desire something, and you'll start tapping into gratitude and awakening and opening to more people that really mirror that back to you. So my devotion, and I actually decided yesterday, was to do 20 minutes a day on my womb meditation, because it's the creative power of the universe. Yep. And I want to sit there. That taps me into my heart's desire every time I show up, because I know that gives everyone on this planet as a ripple the opportunity to own their feminine presence. And I want that for the world, you know. So I've got to keep committing it to myself daily, whether the world receive it or not. I want to end my life welcoming Jesus into my temple, and vice versa when I meet heaven.
Awesome. And I kind of wanted to share this as well, is that when we sit, like I realize I've been meditating for 54 years, which is a long time to be doing a practice, right? And I still sit and I struggle with my mind. There's days that I will sit for an hour and a half, and I literally cannot quiet my mind to save my life. But what I will say to people is that sometimes I sit and I'm like, phew, and other times I sit and it's like a tornado. But when it's like a tornado, I say to myself, and this is the one thing I think that is another facet of this, is determination. And determination to sit the practice. And I remember it was this morning, actually, I sat there and literally for like an hour and a half, I was like, my mind was just like a churning wheel. And I finally said to my mind, I am not getting up until I see a reflection of his face. And when I see a reflection of his face and I can feel love, I will get up. But I'm not getting up until I can do that. And every time that I've done that I say, I'm not stopping, I'm not getting up unless I can see a reflection of his face and feel love for God, not doing it. So you can tweak out all you want, mind, but I am not going to get up until I can have that. That is the nectar, the ambrosia for my soul. Not going to get up. And when I do that, in about a minute, I will have this experience and I'll go, okay, I can get up now. Now, the bottom line is, what the heck is that? That, I think, is our commitment to the focus, that we're valuing that connection above everything else. And when we make that kind of connection, then what happens is we get fed. So if you've been meditating for a really long time, you've never meditated, or you meditate you've just been meditating for a short period of time, have the commitment that you say to yourself, I want to feel a connection to the divine, and I'm not getting up until I do. And when you make that commitment, it's not even the length of time, it's the sincere desire that brings an experience. And when you allow that to happen, then something magical comes up, because you are showing up. You're showing up. Okay, anyone else want to speak?
Julie?
Oh no, I just giggled.
Sorry. Pekka?
Good, Jules. Pekka, do you have something you want to say, darling?
Yes, well, from my personally for me, how I connect is by going into nature and looking at plants and flowers. And even this morning before this session, I just went out for 5 seconds and just looked at the sky and just was just in awe of how magnificent this world is. So that's my way of connecting with the divine.
Awesome. And that's a tremendously beautiful way to do it. Would anyone else like to share?
Joe, you made a note, so do you want to? Love to hear from you.
Oh.
Well, I'll share.
Okay, your internet got a little wonky there, darling.
Oh, okay. Oh, Joe, you ready?
That might have been mine for a second. Were you calling on me, Veronica?
Yes, yes.
Hit it, Joe.
So, I guess I'll just dive in. So today I had an interview with Vanessa, and I was terrified. Ego was taking over, like just all those monkey mind thoughts. And I said to Darla, I was talking with her about these things, and I was like, before my interview, I need to do breath work, I need to do my Reiki on myself, and I need to do my meditations. And basically what I did before the interview was I did just that. I went outside, I enjoyed nature, I grounded barefoot. I even was picking weeds out of my raised garden bed, just, getting dirt all up under my fingernails and whatnot, just to bring myself back into the moment, to just know that it's my mind doing this to me, and I can quiet that mind if I set the intention to. If I allow it to just run wild, then the interview I had probably would not have gone as well as it would. So for me, I think those are the big three. I can do just one of them and be okay and get by. But I think the trifecta, doing all three of those, really put me where I needed to be, as Gary said, in alignment and quieting the ego and just opening the heart and just being in that moment and knowing it will be beautiful no matter how it turns out. So hopefully that answered the question.
So the interview went well.
I have yet to watch the replay, but I started shedding tears reading the comments, just feeling the emotions of those who spoke out, and it was just so beautiful hearing how inspiring the interview went for others. So hopefully later tonight I can sit down and just close my eyes and just let it play and hear it as somebody else was giving it, and we'll get back to you and let you know how it went.
The real beauty of what you experienced, Joe, which was awesome, is that your true self showed up. For you to be able to open people's hearts and open their minds, and go into a situation where you're not normally peaceful in, you really bore some incredible expression of really the truth about who you've come here to be. Like, that isn't something that you put on. No, that is who you are. And the rest of the fear stuff was the illusion that you took off of yourself. And then you stepped into who you actually really are. And notice the results that you achieved, Joe, just by showing up authentically, telling your truth, and being connected to your spirit and grounded in who you are. You moved people's lives. And there's no greater thing than to be able to do that, is to be able to open up your mouth, be aligned to whatever you consider God for you, be in your center and speak your truth, and have people say, oh my God, that changed me by listening to what you said. So welcome home, brother. You are deeply engaged in on the road to yourself, which is awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
I appreciate the wisdom and just the way you clarified it. Like, one day I'll be able to speak with such wisdom. So thank you for being that guiding light for me.
I think
how to even do it.
I think you already do.
You're already doing it. You're already doing it, Joe. There's not a time that I haven't heard you talk or share that I haven't felt like you were aligned to your soul, and you're just such a kind man. And this is who we all are. Without all of our shields and our masks and all of that and our fears, we are incredibly kind, and we are incredibly loving. We don't have to be taught how to love. We are love incarnate. It's just the wrappings of adaptation that we've wrapped around ourselves to deal with the world. But how we generally show up is not necessarily who we are. We are this divine spark. So thanks, Joe. Would anyone else like to share? How many of you are like committed to starting some sort of a practice that's unique and powerful for you? That is what you feel would be honorable for you to create that kind of process for yourself. And if so, what would you do? What would your meditation be? What would you look at being, and what would you look at doing? And what would be some new beliefs that would guide your life? That was a lot I just asked. But
Coralie, go for it.
So, you know, you always say about yearning for God in your meditation, and I sort of haven't got it. I'm just like, I remember that you said that and just don't get it. But then today you said about feel love for God, and I think I can do that. So that's my new part of meditation. Feel love for God. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And for those of you that really connect with nature as part of your spiritual practice, I'll share with you this little meditation that Marilyn Youngbird gave me, because a lot of what the Native American spiritual path is about deep gratitude to the planet, to the feminine and the male aspects, Father Sky, Mother Earth. And there's this great meditation that she shared where she said, lean your back up against a tree. Do your best to find like what they call a mother tree, which is, you know, the largest tree in the forest. And place one hand on your heart, one hand on the ground. And she would say, out of all the things that the Creator and the earth give you, the food, the air, the water that sustains your entire body, but yet we who consume it all never send gratitude from our heart back to the center of the earth where the mother is. So she would say, hold your heart in deep gratitude and place your other hand on the ground. And just like the roots of the tree, imagine the roots growing down from your spine and send love back to the center of the earth, and thank the Creator and the Great Mother for all that is given to us to sustain our bodies and our minds, and send deep, profound gratitude out to all living things. And I thought that was a very cool little meditation for those of us that find God in nature, which a lot of us do. So thanks for sharing that, Carolee. Anybody else want to share?
Lisa?
Oh, I was just seeing if I was muted or not. So if I'm having trouble quieting my mind, sometimes I ask God to just show me what it feels like to feel peace, and I just wait for it to come in, and it does every time, and then I get really grateful for that, and I find that a really good way to start if I'm having trouble, and yeah, everything else comes from there. I'm feeling it now.
I love that. I think I may take that one too.
Yeah,
that's a really good one. That really is. Would anybody else like to share? Thank you for that, Lisa. That was beautiful. Well,
I'll tell you my practice. I've actually got a lot of practices now, thanks to the Creating Success Habits with the 30-day quest, doing it on my 4th time now. Gratitude is huge. And I've found that sitting down and writing out gratitude in the morning has now transformed into being grateful throughout the day for any little thing. And that's a big thing for me. I do some meditation. I found a beautiful yoga nidra waking up process, which I do before getting out of bed. But I think my next level is to actually have that level, that connection in any communication and any connection with a fellow human. And I think that's the challenge. No matter what they're going through, is to actually just sit with them and beyond the personality and actually just listen to them.
You are so capable of that, V. You are just so capable. Seeing you do something similar, and when you do that, there's just this sort of emptiness that you go into where you are just a vessel for them to tell whatever their story is and whatever their truth is. I thought it was beautiful. I heard something when you were talking, and what I heard was the bridge to that is going like a different, I won't say the bridge to it, but part of the journey is the horses, is the ability to understand the subconscious spiritual connection between human beings and horses. There's something profound there for you. I don't quite know what it is, but I just kept saying it'll come through horses.
Cool. It's on the way.
Yeah. Yes, it is, because they are healers and they're meant to be healers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would anybody else like to share? Okay, I have to go through all the pictures and see who looks nervous. Jules, you've been very quiet tonight. I find that surprising. What has been?
I've been receiving by listening.
Oh, very good, very wise.
I was just thinking I'm allergic to horses, so the wisdom will have to come from a slight distance.
Something else.
You don't have to be close to them.
No, that's right. You don't. I love them. I think they're fabulous creatures. I've had a very kind of exhausting last 2 or 3 days, and I'm just sort of coming out of it, and I'm fine. But it was a bit of an emotional sort of whirlwind, and good, because some more stuff has been able to surface and whew,
good.
Go away and provide more self-love, as a result. Meditation I do every day, twice a day anyway. Awesome. Sometimes like you, sometimes better than others. And I do a lot of listening to, thanks to you, to Deva, and Myton, or whatever his name is. I just love that. That just connects me so powerfully, because I think sound is very powerful.
Very powerful. I was telling Robert the other day, I said, if I have to come back, hang upside down in some woman's womb again, have my head crushed by some cervix, I'll do it. I said, I'll do it. But this is the lifetime I want. I want to have a lifetime where I can sing devotional songs to God like Deva Perel and make a living. I thought, if I could do that, that would be like such an awesome life. But yeah, Deva Perel is very special. She's very special.
Yes, she's just wonderful. Yeah. And I think that we forget that actually singing and chanting and can have a hugely profound effect on stilling the mind and connecting us with the divine.
Well, in certain meditational practices, the yoga that I've been initiated into is called yoga of the sound current. And it is about the force of God moving through time and space. And at every realm of matter that shows up, from the very subtlest to the densest, which is where we are in the physical realm, that there is the sound that it makes as it moves through the different levels of creation, that sound is an audible sound. So everything is vibrating at a certain frequency, like my shirt's vibrating at a different density than my pen or my watch, but it's all a sound. So music is a reflection of the divine sounds. And that's why
some work being done by this, and I've forgotten her name because I do that. But Erin O'Dowd provided me with this person, and she's a woman, and I think she's in New York or somewhere down that side, New Jersey. But she had a near-death experience, and following that, she's been able to tune into the sounds that can heal, and she's using it to heal profoundly. Because he sent me this little, after I had the vaccination, first jab, he sent me this beautiful from her, and it's been specially formulated for COVID. Yeah. And to heal and also prepare the body following vaccination and tune. So it's always an area that's been fascinating me, because I used to use sound as a healing in London, and I also belong to an organization where we would have color and sound healing ceremonies with color, and they were just magical, so we've got so much that can bring us in touch with God, but at the end of the day, it has to be us to be devoted, doesn't it? And to also appreciate the devotion.
It has to be the focus of our minds. We have to turn our mind's focus away from the things that we become thought possessed
by. Which I kind of call devotion.
You're
actually handing it over.
It is. It's pure devotion. So we're almost at the end of our time. What I wanted to do then is just go to each person and have each one of us say a word or a sentence of something that we're going to take away from tonight, and go from there, unless someone else would like to share. Yes, Callie.
I was just adding to Julie's sound. I remember listening to a piece on cicadas. It only went for about 1.5 minutes. We were out in cicada land. It was full in Mother Nature of cicadas. Their shell was everywhere, and it was so loud, and it was like listening to an orchestra going in that rhythm where they go quiet and then loud and quiet then loud, but in that rhythm. And then I listened to this piece of music, and someone had slowed it down so you could actually hear what they were singing. Like they actually slowed it, and it sounded like that at the end of the rhythm of this getting to the quiet bit, their last word was Amen.
Wow.
It was incredible. This 1.5 minutes piece, in that 1.5 minutes, I transformed from human to instant spiritual angel something. I don't even know what I was. I just remember transforming in 1.5 minutes.
You can't get that piece of recording again.
No, and it's not something you can go and find easy.
No.
But it was incredible, and that's how powerful music is. Like I literally knew I transformed, and the lady said, "Does anyone want to hear that piece again?" And I went, yes, because I thought if they had kept going, I would not have existed in the physical at all. As a body, I mean, as a physical body. That's how much it transformed.
Yes, it can be so enormously powerful. Enormously powerful.
Anybody else want to share before we do our statement of what our takeaway is?
I just wanted to quickly say, to follow on from Carly, when I spent 3 years in Japan, and I was completely on my own in the weekends, and it was close. It was a very old part of Japan, and I could climb 1,000 steps, believe it, 1,000 steps up to this temple, which was called, it doesn't matter, Tarabo, and I used to remember it by terrible, Tarabo temple. But on the way up, like the cicadas, but there's some sort of brand or breed of cicada in Japan that has the most, it's almost sad, you know, there was a tone that was sort of went down and sad or melancholy. That's the word, melancholy. Oh, but that used to absolutely send me too. There was just this pure, and they were cicadas. It was just, wasn't harshly loud. It was quite tuneful and sad. So, sorry, but it just reminded me. I used to lie on my back under the maple, you know, the maple trees, and there would be a starry canopy of the sky, you know, listening to these. That was pretty good.
So, Jules, what is a word that you would like to leave from yourself for the group for the rest of the week?
Devotion.
Thank you. Jan, what would be your word, darling?
Deep connection.
Great. Callie?
I think surrender, because when we surrender into that sound, we come straight into pure connection to source. When we avoid the sound, if it's noisy and we don't want to be part of it, we've already disconnected.
Got it. Thank you. Yupeka?
Mine's longing.
Oh, that's beautiful. Joe?
Callie took surrender, so I'm going to go with gratitude.
Great. Stan? Stan here? Okay, well, I'll come back to Stan. Let's see. So, V, what is your word?
Be relentless and determined.
Ooh.
Relentless. My new word.
I like it. My word would
Lisa?
be,
Did we have Lisa?
we haven't gotten Lisa. Sorry, darling. I always get so many people's picture up and then I scroll through them, and Carolee as well. So Lisa, what is your word?
My word is peace.
Oh, nice. Carolee?
Deep gratitude to nature.
Beautiful. Mine is practice. So Gain. Stan hasn't come back on yet. And probably handling kids.
Yeah.
Okay, gang. So let's regroup next Tuesday, which will be a heap of fun. And I will look forward to seeing you all then. And you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thanks, V.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Thanks, Gary.
Gary.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
See